It's only poetic, honestly, that the final game for Ben Roethlisberger at home is a beatdown against the Browns. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. We got some rumors coming after the Monday night stinker in which the Browns didn't even look like they gave a damn. So coming up on today's show, so the Browns bench Baker Mayfield in Week 18. We'll go through that idea. And then plus, is Kevin Stefanski's honeymoon period phase over? Plus, we'll wrap up the show by talking about whether or not the Browns should extend Denzel Ward. Before we get to all those rumors, talking about Big Ben here, type me if you will not miss the Browns playing Big Ben. I just want to see a bunch of me's down below because I am tired of seeing Big Ben destroy the Browns, and I'm happy that it hopefully is coming to an end. Despite Big Ben actually playing horrible last night, he is a winning quarterback, and he always manages to win against the Browns. First story on today's show. So the Browns bench Baker Mayfield. Well, I've got some Bernie heads here, and I'm giving this one 3 Bernie heads. That means, yeah, seems pretty likely to me because a couple things. One, Baker Mayfield, what were you doing last night, dude? That was just hard to watch. That was atrocious across the board, and he knows that too. But I played pretty poorly because I was just trying to be nice. But he was awful. Let's be frank about it. And there's no way Case Keenum couldn't have been worse. So if you want the best product on the field, Case Keenum would have been better. Sure, Baker didn't get much help early on from the drops from Austin Hooper, and the offensive line put up a stinker, but regardless, he was 16 for 38. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He had that horrible first interception, which David Njoku was wide open, and instead, I don't know if he was going for Njoku or if he was going for DPJ, but he ended up finding a guy in black and yellow. So Baker was the 3rd worst quarterback in Week 17, according to QBR. And here's an interesting theory coming out. Mary Kay Cabot, she tweeted this out. Browns Baker Mayfield confirmed he will have surgery to repair torn labrum. Isn't exactly sure when. Seems like he should sit next week and have the surgery ASAP. Yeah, I don't disagree in any way. You got to get the surgery done, so why even bother playing next week? And also, Baker, let me give you some free advice, some free PR right now, okay? You got to tell everyone that you have been playing through the absolute worst season-ending injury since Week 2 and that injury against the Texans. A couple weeks ago, you said, I'm feeling great, I'm better than I've ever felt before in my life. Scratch all that for the record because your move is, I was hurt all year long, and that's the reason why I played so horrible. You got to start beating that horse to death because that's the only way you're going to kind of rectify your name from all this. But I want to ask this question to you guys. Should the Browns sit Baker Mayfield in Week 18? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So drop a Y for yes or N for no if a YouTube ad break comes on by. Next story coming up. Is Kevin Stefanski's seat warming up? He was the coach of the year last year. There's no way he can be on the hot seat just 1 year later. That's why I only give this one 2 Bernie heads. It's got people are talking a little bit because this is the NFL we are talking about, and you can only ride off the coattails of success for so long. The Browns started off 3-1. They weren't glamorous in those 3 wins, but since then, they are 4-8. It's been an absolute train wreck of a second half of the season, even the second 2/3 of the season. And his play calling has done him no favors. When you are the play caller and the head coach, there's no one to pass blame off to when the offense is playing like crap. You can't look to the OC. You're in charge, and you're calling the shots. And so when you go back to the Chargers game where they botched the end of the first half, or the play calling down the stretch in the fourth quarter when they gave the ball back to Justin Herbert, or the Packers game where Baker Mayfield's got 3 interceptions and you got Nick Chubb just churning out yards and you decide to throw it again. It doesn't make any sense to me. And also, can we talk about how somehow Kevin Stefanski manages to play Nick Chubb against him in fantasy every single week? Stefanski said Chubb had a rib injury, and that's why he didn't get many touches. He only had 4 touches in the first half. The Steelers have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, and Chubb is MIA. I don't know if this is Chubb dealing with some long-term COVID effects or if he genuinely just had a bad rib injury. He's kind of pointing to his ribs in the third quarter at one point. But regardless, Nick Chubb is one of the best backs in the NFL, and he was wildly underutilized this year. And here's the other thing. The NFL has very short-term memory. What do I mean by that? I don't care if you won Coach of the Year last year, this point of the year. You can take that success and ride that honeymoon for a couple weeks into the next season, but if the Browns get off to a poor start next year, yeah, no one's going to be talking about Stefanski in 2020. I'm sorry, that's just the NFL world we live in. It is a what can you do for me now kind of league, not what you've done for me in the past. And Stefanski's game plan yesterday was just a bit mind-boggling. Baker Mayfield called him out on it, okay? Here's what Mayfield said in his post-game press conference. When you've got TJ Watt over there and you're not giving our rookie tackle a whole lot of help, it's not going to be good. Yeah, and here's the thing that really kind of irks me and ticks me off. Kevin Stefanski saw this play out in his favor a couple at the beginning of the season. Remember when Myles Garrett had 4.5 sacks against the Bears and the Bears offensive line and the coaching staff made zero adjustments whatsoever? And it worked so well for the Browns, and now the script has been flipped, and Stefanski makes no adjustments. James Hudson, rookie out of Cincinnati, sure, he's a nice guy, but he was getting mauled and eaten for breakfast, lunch, and dinner by Watt, and there was no change made whatsoever. I don't know how Stefanski can watch the same thing happen over and over and over again and do nothing about it. We'll get to our third rumor in a moment, but if you guys want free Browns content all season long, then hit that big red button and subscribe. It's absolutely free. We put out Browns news and rumors all year long, and let's be honest, this is going to be an offseason of draft talk and trade rumors, and you're going to want to be in on the know of all that stuff. So hit that big red button, subscribe, and be like one of these 5 guys. I pulled out 5 names of people that recently subscribed, so I want to give you guys a quick shout out. Tim Michaels, Andrew Jones, Rafael Rodriguez, Redrick Watley, and Eric Gamble. Appreciate all of you guys for joining the channel. And getting back to Stefanski, though. Here's a kind of a positive spin. Let's say the Browns finish last in the division of the AFC North. Then here's their possible 2022 schedule. So the way the NFL schedule is made up is you got your division games, then you've got a cross game in the AFC, this upcoming AFC matchups next year against the AFC East. Then you play one entire NFC division. This past season, or this year, it was the NFC North. Next year, it's the South. And then you play the worst team in the other 2 AFC divisions, or not the worst team, but wherever you finish in the standings parallel to those teams. So you got the AFC North and the AFC East. That's 6 games right there. Then you play 4 games against the NFC South, which is the Bucs, who are going to be good, no doubt. And then you got the Panthers, they're not good. The Saints, hard to predict what they'll be next year. And then the last team, the Falcons, they're not too reliable. Broncos, they're in kind of a similar position. They don't know what their future is at quarterback. The Jags suck, and the Giants suck. So the spin zone for the Browns is you got a very talented roster still, and you have a favorable-ish schedule going into next year. You don't have to play the Chiefs. You don't have to play the Chargers, a handful of playoff teams that you had to, the Packers, you had to run into this year. So that's the good thing, at least, for Cleveland. Before we get to our third and final story, BetUS is our proud sponsor on today's show, and our sportsbook partner has a 125% deposit bonus for all new users. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Browns125 to get that deposit bonus. I'm not saying bet on the Browns next week, but maybe you want to bet on the Super Bowl, because here's the thing. The odds for the Super Bowl right now are as good as they're going to get. If you have a good feeling of who's going to win the Super Bowl, make your bet now, because once the playoffs start and you get some wins and losses in, these odds are going to go way down for the favorites. So if you think Green Bay is going to pull it out, you could bet, let's say, $10. You'll get $37.50. So if you want to bet 100, and that's how the scale works in Vegas, you get $375. I won't tell you guys what to bet on. I kind of like the value of the Bills, though. You can bet $10 to win $85. That's pretty good money right there for a Buffalo team that maybe could get hot at the right time. Third rumor on today's show. Should the Browns extend Denzel Ward? I've got this one going for 3 Bernie heads. Yeah, seems pretty likely to me. I'm not quite all the way at 4, which is Believeland, which is take it to the bank, just because, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But Ward this year and his entire career in Cleveland has been worthy of the first-round pick he was, 10 interceptions in his career, got his second touchdown of his career against the Bengals, and was that awesome 100-yard pick 6. And he's a very balanced corner. What do I mean by that? He's not a Trevon Diggs in Dallas type corner where he baits wide receivers by giving them some slack and then trying to jump in. But he's not an absolute get me on an island, shut him down, don't throw the ball my way. He does a little bit of everything, and he's such a great tackler as well. The only reason I'm not giving this 4 Bernie heads or Believeland is because the soft tissue injuries do slightly worry me. Now, he's still going to get the extension. I think that's an absolute guarantee at this point. But he hasn't played a full season yet in his career, and so it is a bit concerning that he has yet to be able to play all 16 games, and you're seeing reoccurring injuries, right? The hamstrings, those kind of keep up with you and are not fun to play with. But if he is going to get the bag this offseason, let's see roughly where it could go. These are the top 5 highest paid cornerbacks in 2022 by average salary. I don't know if he'll crack the top 5, maybe around Tre'Davious White and Darius Slay money. If he's not there, look at the 6 through 10 here. Byron Jones, 16.5. That seems about right to me. Now, this upcoming season, Denzel Ward is going to be set to make about $13+ million, but if you average it over his career, it's just over $7 million, and that ranks him 25th. I don't think he's going to stay at 25 next year. I bet he creeps closer to 7 through 4, somewhere in that range. He's not going to be a top 3 highest paid corner, but the salary cap is going up astronomically next season, so maybe he can leverage that to get a bigger lump sum than some of those guys got. But let me know what you think. Should the Browns extend Denzel Ward? Give me an E for extend or a P for pass. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I think it's a no-brainer. I think you have to extend him. If he had played all 16 games and he didn't have these reoccurring hamstring issues, then he probably gets an extra $2 to $3 million. But because of that, and because he usually plays in the range of 12, 13, 14 games a season, maybe that knocks him down $1 million or $2 million, but he's got to get the extension. Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are the cornerstones of this defense. Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are the backbone of this defense, and you have to keep them in place for years to come. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel here, and also, if you could do me a favor, how about you follow me on Twitter? I'll put my Twitter at the bottom in a moment, and I'm always tweeting out Browns highlights, and so if you ever want to see a highlight from the game, I tweet it out at Matthew Petey. So sauce me a follow on Twitter. Even shoot me a DM if you got any questions about the Browns. We'll see you guys later here on the Cleveland Browns Report.